How is it going, you lovely lot? Welcome back to Park to Prem, and welcome on a Friday to the first part of a transfer special. We ended the season last year, FA Cup final. If you didn't see it, go watch it. I command you, go back. There's a playlist sometimes linked in the description, or you can just go to the YouTube channel. We took on Arsenal. We ended the Premier League season, and, well, in spite of the fact we didn't end it on a high in the FA Cup, we ended it on a high in the league. 6th place secured, 63 points. Safe to say, given the fact we were 17 points behind the team in 4th, there is a little bit of a gap to make up if we want to make it to the Premier League elite level. But that's what this summer transfer window is all about. Financially, we've got £34 million in the bank from another point of view, in terms of actual budgets. I've got more than that. £50 million transfer budget. We are a little up against the wage budget for the here and now. I feel like our wage budget hasn't really exploded, just due to the fact that as a club, we don't have a load of kind of sources of incomes, especially with our stadium, Butlin Road, containing 5,000 fans. And given the fact we're going to be here for the next 2 years, it's not going to change anytime soon. But yeah, without the seats being filled with thousands or tens of thousands of fans, finances are a little bit tight for us. Which is why I come back now, 19th of June. Originally, I was going to wait to the season tick-over date, because I do feel like the game registering the fact that we have European football is probably going to be significant in terms of players we can attract. But I've been wheeling and dealing, and we've got a couple of sales happening early. The first, Gasperi, £25 million Gasperi leaving the building. Yeah, well, we almost sold him for £30 million in January, so I suppose a transfer was always on the cards. He is a player who ultimately has fulfilled his potential at the club, joined us on a free transfer, had a good first half to the year, but was phased out of the team as the year went on. We have had just a few too many centre-backs in our current first-team squad, and elsewhere, Joel Jedinak is also leaving the building. The 22-year-old leaving for, how much was it? It wasn't 15 million. I wanted 15 million. I got 10.25. But to open things today, we are going to confirm these two transfers. It is going to result in £35 million landing in our bank balance. I have already got a new centre-back lined up, who I suppose we should talk about. And that centre-back who I think I'm going to sign is Ashley Phillips. He was relegated with Brighton this year just gone. I was keen to get this transfer done as early as possible before teams around England and Europe kind of had him on their radar. To be fair, he is a player who's been very much in demand. You can see Manchester City wanting him, Wolves wanting him just in the Premier League, but teams in Spain too are interested in this guy. And for us, he would potentially come in for £16 million. Obviously, he is coming in to pretty much replace Gasperi. If we compare the two of them here, I think it's safe to say he is an upgrade on Gasperi, who, just as a reminder, we've just sold for £25 million. Ashley Phillips would only cost us 16. Now, that transfer is awaiting confirmation. I still kind of want to get to the season tick-over date if we can, where we get into the new year, see our pre-season prediction, maybe see if there's any other centre-backs out there. But in terms of as a more experienced plan B, I feel like he could be a useful little centre-back for us. Oh, and also, before we run the intro, I have confirmed the signing of Matthew Martin. We were looking at this guy last episode. Scottish Youth International, has just turned 18. Good little centre-back. He's on loan at Hibs for the next year. Anyway, with that little preamble out the way, you are all caught up with the goings-on here at Rugby Town. We've made a few more sales. There may well be a few more. Let's run the intro and get straight into things, shall we? Okay, intro out the way, let the transfer window commence. I say commence, the actual transfer window for most of the world doesn't open to the 1st of July, but for English clubs, it's open now. And with the sales that we've just made, how much was it that we had? The 55 million? It's become 85 million pounds. Suddenly I feel like I've got a bit more money to spend. Now, just as a little reminder, next year I am thinking of changing our shape up a little bit. I don't completely want to abandon the box midfield, but I do feel like a 4-2-3-1, especially against more elite teams, where obviously we're going to be facing many of them in Europe, it's probably a wise idea to have as a plan B at the very least. I suppose the fortunate thing is that in reality, the difference between this formation, the new one that I want to try out, and the old one, it's not that extreme or a difference. The reality is we could alternate between these two systems pretty easily, but it does mean that when it comes to recruitment, I have got to just consider the fact I might want some wide attacking midfielders. I suppose another thing to consider is even with the two sales that we've just made, we do have a first team squad of 26 players still. There's definitely players I can move on here, definitely places where I'd like to get upgrades. Goalkeeper. Schumacher's getting replaced. That is very much the number one aim this year. And on top of that, there are some players like Miyazawa here who I am just willing to let go. I think at this point, in fact, you can see here, I've already offered him out. I'd forgotten I'd offered him out. If I could get anywhere close to £10 million, I'd be quite happy. Loyal servant to the club, useful squad player over the last couple of years. But frankly, he's just not really good enough for how good we have become. There is also players like Donovan Toos, who I signed this year and didn't really use that much. It's one of the reasons, actually, why I've decided to sell Gasperi and Jedinak. I want to get rid of two of them, just to allow Toos to have a bit more of a chance to shine. To be honest, if we just compare with Jedinak here, I would argue that Donovan is that little bit better. A reminder as well, the Englishman here was signed for a measly £5 million. So again, that decision to sell Jedinak for 10 plus million, it just kind of makes sense. Another man who I think I want to sell this year is Bilardo. I've already transfer listed him once, and I couldn't get any interest in him. I might try and offer him out again. I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to be waiting until July for any potential interest. We have just too many centre mids and centre defensive mids, to be honest, of a similar mould to this guy. The other player I can potentially move on is Wesley Gomez. Both these players, to be honest, haven't quite kicked on as I hoped they might. Two players who I might be willing to cash in for, well, both of them potentially if the right offer came in. Their valuations are quite high off the back of European football, considering the fees that we signed players like Gomez for, £3.4 million, and in Bilardo's case, £1.7 million. If I could get anywhere close to £20 million for either of them, probably should consider it. I have had a little recruitment focus going on for a while, looking for the next goalkeeper. The only man it's thrown up in all our searches is Lionel Reyes here, who already has some interest in him. In fact, Leicester have made a bid of £43 million. He is a very good goalkeeper. I don't think he's going to want to join me. He's already earning £91,000. And also, in this universe, Leicester City, who, by the way, this year just gone, finished 12th. The last year before that, they finished 15th. They had a tycoon takeover a few years ago, so they can just throw money around. I feel like I can't win in a bidding war against them. I am going to just tweak this recruitment focus slightly. I have been tweaking it kind of constantly. I'm going to lower the current ability slightly. Ultimately, though, I do really want to get a replacement in for Schumacher. I don't think I'm going to be able to sign him, but I am just going to make a bid for Reyes. He's got a release clause of £43 million, which we're going to have to trigger to have any chance of signing him. But even with our European football secured, I just don't think we have the reputation to lure this kind of guy in from Frankfurt, which is mental to say because I feel like ordinarily you expect Premier League clubs to just be able to sign Bundesliga players from teams like Frankfurt. With respect, we're not in such a position, annoyingly. I do like to think I've been pretty thorough with the search for a goalkeeper. There are two players that we could go for. Theo Sander is an option. He's just not that good, is he? £28 million for this guy. If we actually compare him with Schumacher, I think you could make maybe a very poor argument. Schumacher is better. There certainly isn't a £28 million difference between these two guys. The other man who's available is Marco Carnesecchi, who's just been relegated with Brighton. He is actually a very good goalkeeper, but at 32 years old, I don't think he's going to come particularly cheap. However, when you compare him with Schumacher, he is a pretty bloody big upgrade, isn't he? It's almost a shame that with Carnesecchi here, he's not got a more reasonable price. His release clause from relegation is £31 million. I assume that is just due to the fact he's been at Brighton a while, so that was a reasonable clause at the time. To be fair, they signed him for £31 million. He's a good goalkeeper. He's unhappy, like the Hiddens as well. I kind of just want to make a bid and see what he asks for. I suppose really I need to worry about what Brighton might ask for first. I'm just going to stick in £10 million. They didn't like it. I have now just stuck in a bit of £15 million for him. I don't think Brighton are going to entertain it anyway. I feel like goalkeepers are just hard to find in Football Manager. I mean, do I want another year of Schumacher? I really don't. Portsmouth have made a bid for Liam Holt. I'll be honest, I kind of forgot Liam Holt was here. We signed him for £11,000 many a year ago. He spent last year on loan at Chester. Probably should just sell him. Bought him for £11,000, selling him for 14.5. I'm a genius. Okay, the £15 million bid was rejected. I'll up it to 16.5. They still don't like it. See, I don't really want to pay 18 to 20 million pounds for a 32-year-old. At the same time, I just want to know how much he might cost me wage-wise. Also, I'm being asked for confirmation on this Ashley Phillips deal. He does want to join us on £60,000, which is not a small amount, but I feel like he might just be worth picking up. Young English player. An English player in his prime will be a very, very good backup centre-back. Not kind of outstanding in any one area, but he's the kind of player who I think we can bring in. He can offer a bit like Gasperi did second half of the year, just reliable centre-back. It's not cheap, but I just kind of feel like it's worth picking him up. £16 million for a very well-rounded English centre-back. You could do a lot worse. I am also a little bit conscious of the number of homegrown in-nation and at club players we have. You need a minimum of 8 of these in your Premier League registered squad, and we actually don't have that many, so signing someone like Phillips kind of just helps a little bit towards that, just making sure we stay in the thresholds. I mean, ultimately, he's an upgrade on our previous backup centre-backs who we've sold for a combined 35 million and we've signed him for 16. Sensible dealings. I have blocked out the starting 11 and bench if I play the 4-2-3-1. To be honest, it's quite good, isn't it? I suppose there's an argument to ask, should Phillips start at centre-back over NDIA? And it's probably a quite good argument. I mean, to be honest, there's not a world of difference. Phillips has some really well-rounded physicals for a centre-back. NDIA looks like he has an edge, and then you realise that the edge that he has is in stuff like long shots, long throws, crossing and dribbling. Probably not the kind of things you need from a centre-back. I mean, you know what? I feel like it's good to have dilemmas. This might be one we have to deal with. I've talked about it so many times in recent episodes, but I know people come back for the transfer specials and so have missed the chat. NDIA at centre-back, I don't like as an idea just because on a principle level, 11 marking, 10 tackling for a centre-back is a bit of a... Don't love it. But actually, he's played quite well at centre-back this year. And Lee Min at left-back is just better. At left-back, at least. Some people have asked us, why don't you just train NDIA at right back? I mean, Moulton, to be honest, is just an elite level right back at this point. He's just one of the best right backs in world football. Yeah, I don't really need NDIA to fill in here. I am beginning to wonder, with Musa, is he ultimately only ever going to be like a very good squad player for us? He's homegrown at club, which is amazing. If I was to train him at right back, which I have seen the comments regarding, would he just be a really good super sub option who can come on anywhere across the back line? That might be where he fits into the grand plan. If I do start Phillips at centre-back, he can play alongside Sneddon and Bolton. We'll have Fawns in front of them as well, who this year I think is going to be more of a defensive midfielder for us. I feel like that could just serve us quite well. A nice English core to the defence while we let the Continentals do their thing up front. And Sam Fay. But Scotland, it's kind of continental. It's a bit exotic, isn't it, Scotland? Can you tell I've only been to Scotland once? Probably. I talked about this before as well. I know that last year some of our defenders had really low ratings, but with how Football Manager's match ratings work, essentially when you lose your clean sheet as a defender, unless you score or assist, you're never really going to get above a 7.0 rating. And for the year just gone, our XG kind of conceded versus XG against was +8. So that means that Schumacher let in 8 more goals than he should have done. That is potentially a notable number of clean sheets that our centre-backs missed out on, which I do think impacted the average ratings. And on top of that, if you play Football Manager this year, you already know this, defensive midfielders just don't get good ratings. Like, you've got to consider here, we finished 6th place, having been predicted to finish right down towards the bottom, and my defensive midfielders still didn't get above, 7.0 ratings. Like, if they don't deserve a 7.0 rating for our seasonal performance, they're never going to get them, are they? Let's be real, it's never going to happen. Just getting in a preemptive defence of my decision-making there. Yeah, match ratings are just lies. Meanwhile, by the way, Brighton have just rejected a £19 million bid for Karnaseki. He has this release clause of 31 million. At least I thought he had it. Oh, it's 31.5. Apologies, Brighton. I'm going to make that bid. I'm never going to pay that. I just want to know what his wage demands might be. In some other news as well, a couple of our youngsters securing early loan moves ahead of the new season. Colum Stair and Rasset heading out on loan to other English clubs. My offer's been accepted. He wants £83,000 to £105,000. I mean, technically, I can afford that. It just doesn't seem like a wise spend on a 32-year-old goalkeeper. If he was 30 years old, I'd probably go for it, because I do feel like a goalkeeper's that higher a priority. But ultimately, he turns 33 in 2 weeks. I can't justify it. I mean, I could just go for a goalkeeper that my staff think have bags of potential. Rasmussen here, 5-star potential, model citizen personality. What's not to love? He's inconsistent and injury-prone. Yeah, don't love that. Leguiza here, when you look at his star ratings and kind of his age and just his profile, Argentinian goalkeeper, you think, well, he must be Leguiza to put in goal. No, he's not Leguiza. that we need to put in goal. He's not very good. If I sort by world reputation, there's options. The fear I have here is they all play in Saudi Arabia, and so are on quite a lot of money when it comes to the wages. Quite a lot of money when it comes to the wages. I mean, Murad Haddad here, he looks very good, doesn't he? He does look very good. Club Bruges, youngster. I say youngster. 22, that's young for a goalkeeper. £35 million he'd cost me. He's capped for Belgium. Super consistent. Loves important matches. Could improve a little bit. It looks like he ticks all the boxes. I feel like I'm now going to compare him against Schumacher, and he's just not going to feel like an upgrade. I mean, it's weird. When you look at the bar charts, he looks like an upgrade, but there's certain things like one-on-ones that I kind of rate quite highly in terms of how important they are in the match engine. Same with handling. I mean, when you look at this comparison here, Schumacher looks better, but then when you actually look at the attributes, Haddad looks better. £35 million for this guy is not cheap. He is wanted by Crystal Palace, Napoli, and Leicester, however. I think I might make a bid for him. I don't know if he's necessarily the nailed-on option I want, especially at that price, but I feel like when it comes to goalkeepers, it's better to just get something maybe secured, then just delay it repeatedly, and then make a call down the line as to, do I actually want to spend that much on him? That just feels like the way to do things here as I just continue to look through the goalkeeping options out there. Lucas Lavalley, formerly of PSG, this guy. That he must be good then, mustn't he? I've said that with absolutely no conviction whatsoever. He looks okay. Is he good? I feel like Haddad is the player to compare him against. When you compare him against Haddad, he is better. He's also potentially going to cost us more, and he's 30 years old. I mean, I'll get a scout report. I do like Haddad. If I just look at 25-year-old goalkeepers sorted by, well, value. I don't know if value is necessarily the best metric by which to judge players. There are players out here. They're just not very good. I feel like last year there was that goalkeeper that I had the chance to sign and he went to Sevilla, and I really should have just spent more money on him because he was absolutely immense. This guy, wasn't it? Darko Bizama, I mean, I could have signed him for £3.5 million. I feel like in hindsight, it was an error not to spend more. Here is Haddad compared to him. I could have got Bizama for £3 million. £3 million! I want to be dramatic. I think we might have won the Premier League last year if Bizama was in goal. That's how good he is. I mean, if I wanted to go for a super stopgap option, someone like Tim Ronning here could be an option. 34 years old, very good in the air, very good shot stopping, can't really run. I mean, on the one hand, I don't want to buy a goalkeeper for the sake of it. On the other, I really need to replace Schumacher with someone. And if there isn't like an immediately obvious, amazing option out there, who's a long-term option, is it worth just getting in someone like Tim for a year? He would want to be the highest earner at the club. I don't love it. Is anyone else getting deja vu here? I feel like I did this last summer. Of all the options out there I've looked at, I think Haddad would be the best. It's just a case of, is £35 million value for money? I'm not sure it is, but I do have that kind of cash. He would want to be first choice goalkeeper. He'd want between £47,000 and £61,000, I think it said. I can't give him a release clause. I'm not going to promise we can improve the midfield, but we will finish top half in the Premier League. That's a guarantee. I have no idea how much this guy's going to ask for. I'm just going to offer him £45,000 and hope that that is roughly in the area where he wants it to be. We won't have a relegation wage drop either, because we're not going to get relegated. Let's be positive here. 4-year deal, £45,000. He wants £59,000. Okay, a little bit of negotiating later. £50,000 we've landed on for Haddad. I'm not sure if I'm going to sign him, but there's no harm in getting a deal kind of going here, getting the wheels in motion, and then we can just hit delay for a few weeks whilst we keep waiting for maybe our scouts to find a goalkeeper, or maybe just one to land from the heavens in my lap. No offers for Bernardo yet. There is interest in him. I'm hoping that when the transfer window opens in 2 weeks, then the bids come in. Leicester have made a non-negotiable bid for Bolton. I mentioned the fact that they have all that money. Yeah, they do have a lot of money. Doesn't mean I'm going to sell him, though. They bid a value of potentially £80 million for Bolton. Genuinely, I don't think that's enough. We saw how influential he was in our last game of the year against Newcastle. He is that good as a right-back for us. And right-backs, they just don't fall from the sky. So I'm not willing to sell him. Should this concern me slightly, Arsenal make Endrick offer. Endrick could be playing in the Premier League next year. You think of Endrick being this really old bloke, don't you? In our universe, he's 26. Wait, he's transfer listed. Can I buy him? Endrick! We have 68 million. We can afford this. Kind of. Have also had some bids from Miyazawa here. Cadiz have offered £8 million up front. Bristol City have offered a deal that will eventually be worth the £10 million I was hoping to get for him. We'll accept that there. I am also just going to accept the Cadiz offer because it's £8 million up front. But as for all the other clubs, I feel like they're not going to offer me the kind of money I'm hoping for. Unless Norwich City, are you going to do a blinder? You know what? They can have him for that. Okay, there's 4 offers on the table for him there. If he goes to any of them, it's some good money. It's just a case of letting him have the choice. You know, he's got free will and all that. People tell me I'm not a generous leader. I am. I'm a man of the people when I like them. And one man who I don't like right now, Hendrick, he's not interested in negotiating terms. I'll pretend to be shocked. I am a little bit confused why Real Madrid no longer need his services. But who am I to judge? Now, I do think in a day or two's time, we're going to get to that season tick-over date. We get the signings of the year. Here they are. Lee Min at number 1, Pietro at number 2. Great to see 2 of our players up there. And now, if I'm not mistaken, I just want to have a look at Fresner here. Is he good? He's quite good, isn't he? But now, if I'm not mistaken, if we hit continue here, drum roll, please, everyone. New season should be here. I feel like there should be a fanfare that plays in Football Manager. You know, get a trumpet playing on this date, Football Manager. Everyone would love it. That's all they need to add for next year's game for me to buy it. But that's because I just have a crippling addiction to Football Manager, mind you. Anyway, expectations here, mid-table finish. We already knew all of this, so we'll just agree to that. The board want to discuss improvements. They want potential affiliations. How do you feel if the club was to begin to look for a suitable affiliate club? Is there a particular setup that would benefit the club? Another club to send players on loan to would be good, I think. Okay, they're delighted with my suggestion. Hopefully we can get a club that's not in League 2. We've got 2 teams who are affiliates in League 2. I'd quite like a League 1 or Championship affiliate, but that might be a bit ambitious. Also, the Premier League table has reset, which means if we now go to our club profile screen and hold your breath, everyone, media prediction for the new year, 9th place. 9th. That is a testament to how much our team has improved in the last 12 months. I will say when you then come to this season preview here, we are down in 12th in this, but you know what? Top half finish, it feels attainable, and I'm hoping European football isn't going to be too much of a distraction. Speaking of which, didn't acknowledge it a minute ago, Europa League football, it's here! We have a little thing in the continental competition box. It feels real. Opening game of the year, by the way, Man City at home. Suddenly, my mood has been destroyed. Into more good team news, I think David Gilliland has signed a new deal with the club. The youngster continuing to improve. He is the hot prospect at the club. 18 years old. He is now contracted to 2036, but I can trigger an optional 3-year extension. So he is potentially here for the next 6 years, which when you look at him, I think is probably quite good news for us, especially because he's wanted. 14 clubs want him. Oh, okay. Load of teams on loan. I thought Man City were sniffing at him there for a second, and I wasn't going to be happy. I've never owned a dog, but I feel like Man City and the big clubs coming after your players. It's a bit like if you take your dog for a walk in the dog park and some random dog comes up and starts sniffing your dog's butt. That's what I feel like. It's like, get away from my dog. That's how I feel about David. I'm going to protect him. Can you tell I've never owned a dog? Probably. Maybe a little bit. That's probably not a problem people face. But dogs do sniff other dogs' butts. So maybe, you know what, sometimes in episodes I think, should I edit this bit out? Does this make the final cut? Editing Jack, you make the call, mate. I don't know what I'm waffling about. I was just getting caught in the trap of just mashing continue, but I have just realised the season's ticked over. Has our reputation gone up? It was, I think, 3 stars. It's still 3 stars. Maybe there's some new goalkeepers who want to sign for me or something. Is there new names here? I think it's just the same names, isn't it? Also, whilst a goalkeeper is the priority, we do have the money to spend elsewhere. Guerrero, the most valuable player I could sign. I could sign him. 81 to 99 million, though. It's too much. The highest rated player we've got scouted is Paolo Mori here, 24 years old, Italian, right winger. I'm so accustomed to saying we don't play with wingers, but that's not true. We do play with wingers. £11 million for him feels like a really good deal. But, and the issue with this £11 million is, I don't actually think he's as good as the star rating suggests. I mean, he's good, don't get me wrong. He's not that good. A bit similar to Johan here. Johan's good. He's not this good, is he? This is a ridiculous overrate by my staff. Someone like this guy's good. I mean, this guy's very good, isn't he? Alan Conceição Silva. He can play out on the right. He can play centre attacking mid. He can play as an advanced playmaker. He is currently on £110,000 a week. Yeah, he's playing in Qatar. I have a sneaking suspicion that means his wages are going to be too much, which is a shame because for the actual value, he does look quite good. 14 to 17 million. He wants wages of £240,000 a week. To put that in context, that would be a quarter of our transfer budget. Yeah, that's not happening, is it? I think really I need to get to the transfer opening date on the 1st of July where we can maybe get a few more offers for our players. Our first team is still a little on the bloated side. You will notice here. Liam Holt has left the building, by the way. There are players that I have been selling over the last few summers where I don't really mention the fact they're leaving. Liam is kind of the prime example. Just someone who we hoarded during the early days who's leaving for peanuts. And in the grand scheme of things, probably not even worth a footnote in an episode. Raymond Boroduska is the player of the tournament with England's under-21s at the Euros under-21s. Is this guy good? I assume I have him scouted at some point. Indeed, I do. He is on loan at Charlton from Manchester United. He doesn't look bad. In fact, he's quite good, but he's not £27 million good with those cons. Injury-prone and inconsistent. Not for me, Chief. Lionel Reyes, the goalkeeper we were looking at, who didn't want to join us from Frankfurt, he has signed for Leicester on £160,000 a week. That is absurd. I mean, I'll be honest, suddenly Morad Haddad, for the price we're paying, almost seems reasonable. Almost. Has anyone else made a bid for him? They haven't. Still seems interested. Is this guy really the solution to the goalkeeping position? I really don't know, but I need a better goalkeeper than Schumacher, and he's the best out there that we found. Chelsea have made a Bolton offer. They've offered potentially 61 million. He's just not for sale, is he? He's just not for sale. He's got a contract for 3 more years as Bolton. There is no release clause. We have got to sell him, pay him a 5% of any profit that we sell him on for. He's extremely interested in Chelsea. He's extremely... No, you're not going, Michael. I mean, to be honest, in an ideal world, we get him to sign a new contract, but it's too late now. He's unhappy. I feel like if I was going to sell him, I wouldn't sell him this year. I'd wait maybe a year or two just to see if we can get a bit more for him. I mean, ultimately, this guy's one of the best right-backs in world football, and I don't really want to have to go out there and find a new right-back. I mean, we do have Mosquera, who could slot in at right back. You know, he's valued highly, and he looks like he could have a lot of potential. Longer term, he could be the man to step up and replace Bolton, but in the immediate term, there's just not really any comparing them, unfortunately. Oh, God, Bolton is upset I didn't accept the Chelsea offer. The valuation wasn't acceptable. If they want to sign you, mate, they have to offer me 120 million. He thinks 100 million is realistic. 110. I feel like I'm being reasonable here. 105. I'll tell you what, mate. If they bid £105 million up front, Michael, you can go to them. I feel like that's fair for everyone. They're not going to bid that, are they? Hopefully not. I don't want to sell him. Okay, Haddad has been granted a work permit, and we could now sign him for £35 million. I'm going to hit delay on it. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think he probably is an improvement on Schumacher, and he is 22 years old with room to grow. Obviously, he's 22, and he is also the national team goalkeeper for Belgium, kind of competing with Van der Voort, it looks like, for the spot. There's just not many goalkeepers out there, and goalkeepers are just hard to find in Football Manager. I think you hit a point with them where you're kind of spending a significant amount of money for a small upgrade, but when you do compare him with Schumacher, it's safe to say he would be an upgrade. It's just a case of, is it worth the £35 million outlay, and am I certain there's not better options out there? And the answer to both those things is, I'm not sure. So we'll just delay. Moment of silence, please. Jake Cartwright has left the club. I'm heartbroken. Hull City have made a bid for Gonzalo Garcia. He is our current third choice goalkeeper in the first team. I need to replace him. He's going to be moving out. I don't need him as a fourth choice. So, yeah, I think we'll sell him on. Not a lot of money received for him. But then again, we only signed him for 120k. He's played 4 games in 4 years. Got some players in the youth team here whose contracts have expired that we are just going to be releasing, I'm afraid to say. One option of these players that I am releasing, Aaron King. Remember the New Zealand guy we signed just because he was an amateur? Yeah, we're releasing him now. Do I feel bad? Slightly. The only player without a contract I am keeping around the club is a whole chuddy. He's asking to leave the club, but he's also not contracted to the club. So he could just leave of his own volition whenever he wants, but he's just kind of happy here, just crying in the under-21s. And I'm happy to have him. He can be paid £150 to be the team jester. That's how I imagine it. He's a jester. I'm the king sat in a big throne, big chair, just staring at him laughing. Love a old chuddy. Okay, Jedinak has left the building, or Jedinak, as I believe it's actually meant to be said. He has gone. Stockport County have made a bid for Almsbacken. Kind of want to sell Almsbacken, so I'm going to turn this down for now. This guy is not actually a terrible striking option, but with questionable potential, it's probably worth cashing in on him. Slightly concerned that he is in the last year of his current contract. Hopefully he's not so unhappy that if we make an offer out to clubs like we have, he then doesn't want to sign a new deal if no one comes in for him. Elsewhere, by the way, Walsall want to sign Isaac Warren as their first choice goalkeeper. He had a really good loan spell last year with Cheltenham in League Two. The kind of player who longer term maybe could be a squad option for us. Hasn't really developed in the last few years, despite the fact we have been loaning him out. Yeah, hopefully a loan to Walsall is what's needed. They want to make him their first choice goalkeeper. The other option actually would be Wigan, but they're promising him he would be an important first team player. Is it better just to get him guaranteed minutes in League Two with Wigan, or is it better to try and get him a move to Walsall at a slightly higher level? I'm going to go with Walsall, just because they're predicted to finish low down in League One, so I have to imagine he will get into their team. And as those loan offers imply, now the transfer window's open, I'm hoping we might get some more offers for our players. Bellardo, I'm going to offer you out for an unspecified amount. Elsewhere, where is he? Wesley Gomez. Wesley, I just want to test the market. Please don't get upset about the fact I'm offering you out. One player I signed last year who didn't wow me, Sebastian Kurland. I actually don't think he improved throughout last year. We signed him for £8 million. He's now valued at 28 to 33 million. I'm not against selling him if an offer comes in that's good. You can see here he just didn't have a good season in the Premier League. We'll offer him out. We'll see if we get any nibbles. We loaned out Kamara last year. I feel like I need to get him another loan move this coming year. There's a couple of players like Kamara who could either be squad players for me or could be getting regular first-team football, I think, at a top-division team in Europe. And I feel like for him, that's needed. I feel like it's a similar situation for Rene Hansen as well. Lamine Ndor in our reserves is a player who I just don't think is good enough, to be honest. He's had lots of issues with injury. You might remember we loaned him out last year to go back to Generation Foot, where we signed him from. Got some okay minutes there, but with a valuation of 29 to 33 million, I just need to sell him. Okay, Miyazawa is heading to Cadiz. That is some money received. £8 million for him. It's not an insane amount. A little bit sad to see him go because he was a useful squad player for us. But to be honest, he just wasn't at a Premier League level. And we're making some good money that we can reinvest into, well, hopefully finding a suitable replacement. Clubs in England release players. Is there any players here that I should be particularly excited about? I mean, Pedro Porro. I don't need a right back. Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz is quite good. He is actually very, very good. He doesn't want to join us though, so never mind. Okay, well, in our quest to maybe try and cash in on some squad players, the fact that Wesley Gomez is getting interest declared in him might be a good thing. £26 million according to Goal. I mean, when have the media ever lied about anything? Goal, if I don't get a £26 million bid now, I'm going to be upset. Okay, amongst some loan offers that I've just been dealing with in my own time, we have got some transfer offers to consider. Endor, offer from Wolves. Now, to be honest, I signed this guy for 150k. I really don't think he's going to amount to a lot. I know he's got some really good potential and his core attributes aren't too bad. Just feel like his physicals are always going to be lacking for this level. Wolves have offered 9.5 million. I'm going to be a bit cheeky and try and ask for 12.5 and maybe a 40% profit. They've bid 10.25 and 30% profit. I'm just going to accept that. I know it's way below his valuation, but to be honest, that valuation is absolutely absurd. £10 million for this guy is a little good return on an investment that, to be honest, I thought we were only really going to, well, not make money on. Not to say we weren't going to sell him on for some money, just 10 million is more than I was expecting. Loan offers made for Kamara. Oh, I really like the look of a loan move to Brighton. I know it's a championship club and he might not be happy about that, but Brighton as a relegated side I think could be a great fit for Kamara to go out there, get loads of minutes in the championship, which he should be very well adapted to. Yeah, that loan just makes sense. Brest have made an offer for Kurland. He's valued at 28 to 33 million. They've offered 10. No. And elsewhere, I was promised a £25 million bid, wasn't I, for Gomez? Paris FC have bid 12 million. 12 million... No to either of these. And apparently he does want to go to Saudi Arabia. They've locked in 10.25 million. I love Wesley Gomez. I think he's a useful squad player. If I was to get £20 million from him, though, I'd take it. The offers we've got there, nowhere near that. Ronning, who I was looking to sign from Rangers, has now had an offer from Napoli of £8 million. I do feel like he's a good goalkeeper, but I'd rather go for someone younger who could develop into the team. And, well, barring any late drama, I think Haddad is the man I'm going to go for. I am now just looking at goalkeepers interested in transfer. Apparently this guy, Milton Peredo's available. Bolivian goalkeeper. I saw the valuation and thought, well, that's a new name at the top of the list. He must be good. He's not very good. We have hit that point in the summer transfer window where I get distracted and just start looking at free agents. I was looking at players not just under the age of 31. Zaniolo, Isaac, Porro, Diaby, Mudryk was probably the best of the bunch of all these players. Jadon Sancho here as well. Yeah, he's lost a little bit of his pace, has Jadon. I feel like all these older players, not quite what we're looking for. You know, Hamed Traore, very good early on in a Football Manager save. Less so when he's 33. I did notice, however, when I put age at most 31, Lucas here pops up. Lucas Canizares is a fun name, isn't it? Canizares. Spanish international with 31 caps. Has been playing in Saudi Arabia for the last few years. Prior to that was like a reserved player for Real Madrid forever. Is he any good? He doesn't look bad. When I compare him against Haddad... Is he better than Haddad? It's one of those ones where I look at the polygon and I think, oh, Haddad's better. And then I look at the attributes and go, actually, Lucas might be better. And he's a free transfer. Although someone had already made a bid for him. Who has made that bid? PSG. PSG. Why did I even get attached to the idea of signing him? He looks quite good as a goalkeeping option. Let's see how much he wants. I've just spent the last 2 minutes talking about this bloke. Doesn't even want to join me. Brilliant. I've had a look at players available for free. There's none that look very good. So now to cheer myself up, I'm just going to look at players with good potential. See if there's anyone here to waste some money on. I'm looking through the young players here. There is no one jumping out at me as a, oh my God, I must sign them at all cost kind of player. I mean, in terms of players with best current ability, age 19, there's this guy, Sotomayor. Issue is, apparently he's already fulfilled his potential, according to my staff. He does look very, very good. I will admit that now. I kind of feel like I should just scout him some more. Although, who's made a bid? Real Madrid have made it. Real Madrid are just going after all the players that I want. Is it bad that because Real Madrid have made a bid, I think he must be good? Or at least a player I can make some money on? I mean, you know what? We'll just bid 3.3 million. Why not sign him? It's not like we've been suffering from having too many left-backs last year, is it? I might as well sign a new one. Why not? Thomas Oravec here. Does he look good or am I going crazy? Centre mid, super consistent player, well-rounded, 19 years young, fairly professional personality. I like the look of this guy. I like the look of him. We got a scout report on him 6 months ago. Does that mean that he's going to cost me way more than it said here? I saw the £4 million and got excited. Apparently he'd still only cost between 500k and 4 million. I think I'm just going to make a bid. He looks quite good. I know he doesn't play defensive mid or centre attacking mid, which of course within all the tactical systems that we might play are the positions that we play. We don't play with regular centre mids around here. We're above that at Rugby Town. I can train him in them, can't I? I feel like I'm going to have to pay the upper end of what I was told I was going to have to pay. But if it's going to cost me 4.2 million, which it is, I think it's worth spending that money on. I am now wondering if all these other players around him are also equally as good. I mean, this guy's Greek. I mean, the last Greek player we signed was Schumacher, and look how that went. Probably shouldn't. £11 million is quite a lot too. I mean, Kadir Kok here, left-footed, very well-rounded, good little fullback. Again, I don't really need more left-backs, but he could play centre-back with his 9 jumping reach. The asking price that I've got is out of date. How much do they want for him? Around 8 million. He's quite good, but I don't need a left-back. It's the one position I really shouldn't sign anyone in. At least with Carlos here, you can argue, well, he could play left attacking mid. You know, that is an argument that can be made. I mean, Ahmed Osbay here is a goalkeeper. He looks quite good. 19 years old. He is turning 20 rather soon. He's not a bad goalkeeper, but he's not all that, is he? When you compare him with Haddad, you just realise that Haddad is just better. Then again, Haddad is going to cost me £35 million. Okay, our bid for Carlos has been accepted. Apparently he has more interest in joining Real Madrid. He also wants 115 to 150,000. You know what? We'll leave that. Oravec is a player who I'm much more interested in. He looks very, very good. He could add to the Czech contingent at the club. Very, very well-rounded player. Some good technicals as well for a centre mid. Wants to be a fringe player. Can I make you a breakthrough prospect? He didn't like that. I'll finalise this deal. I kind of want to get him locked in on a longer-term deal if we can. 5-year deal, and I'll pay you £10,000 right away. How'd you like those bananas? He loves bananas. They want him back on loan? Absolutely not. I'll tell you what, I was just looking through a list of players that my scouts have kind of got scouted here, expecting players not to want to join me. This Alexis guy, been following for ages and then Bayern signed him, so he won't be joining us. But the next guy on this list, Gonzalo Rodriguez, I have him on my shortlist, so I must have looked at him at some point. He looks very, very good, doesn't he? 21 years old, Argentine centre-back. He's not quick, but the bloke can jump, and he's very good at centre-back. For that price as well, he could be immense. Okay, they do want a little bit more money, which is a shame. 12.25? Oh, they want 15. Is he a £15 million centre-back? I think he probably is. He looks really good. We signed Ashley Phillips, just as a reminder, for £16 million. If I compare him with Rodriguez, Rodriguez is really good, isn't he? He's 21 too. And he can play defensive mid. It just gets better. He has doubts about negotiating terms. There's more appealing options elsewhere. Okay, AC Milan are interested. They've not made a bid yet. So there's still a chance. Okay, look, I can send him on an English course. He can play ball playing centre-back. I'm not improving the coaching staff, though. He doesn't mind that. He wants £58,000. This is all in red because we're over our wage budget, but I should be able to jiggle the budget and give him the money he wants. Although he has tried to sneak in a release clause there. We're going to remove that and the wage after international game rise. Sell on fee percentage as well. You're not having that, son, but I'll give you a big suitcase of money just to sign with us now. How does that sound? Okay, this can be worked on. Our current highest earner, if I'm not mistaken, is also on £60,000. I'll offer him £60,000, 5-year deal. The £3 million signing on fee hurts, but I think it's just worth it. This guy looks immense. You compare him with NDIA, who I was considering playing at centre-back. I feel like he's just a straight upgrade, isn't he? Been a while since I've signed a River Plate youngster. Probably last Park to Prem, to be fair. I feel like it's a rite of passage in any FM save. We're doing it here. I'm now sat thinking, is there any other players in this list of players, that I should be looking at? I thought this guy might solve all my goalkeeping problems. No. Emerson, you see a Brazilian called Emerson, plays for Santos. Scouts recommending him, you think he must be good. No, he's absolutely rubbish. I'm looking through more of this list of players. There are good players out here. I think some of these players I've maybe even looked at before, but to be honest, all the players we've looked at, Gonzalo Rodriguez is the best, with the exception of Marco, who I don't want to sign. Unless, could I loan Marco? No, there's no way they're going to let me loan him, is there? Let's be real. In case you can't tell, I'm just not sold on Haddad being the ultimate goalkeeping solution. And it's a case of, do I take the risk on him? I mean, he's definitely the best goalkeeper out there that I can sign who's not north of 30 and isn't going to have outrageous wage demands. It's a bit of a punt, but I think it's a punt that is at least an improvement on Schumacher. And to be fair, in the case of Schumacher, it's not like I have to sell Schumacher this year. He can just become the second choice goalkeeper. I don't know. I feel like I got some thinking to do over the weekend. You guys let me know in the comments. Is Haddad the solution? I do like him. The more I look at him, the more I like him, but I just don't want to make a mistake. I feel like last year with Schumacher, we could have done better, and I don't want history to repeat itself. Truthfully, I just wish goalkeepers weren't that hard to find in Football Manager, but it's just one of those things. They're just annoying. The board have given me a list of affiliates that we could possibly partner with. Carlisle in League One, and then 2 teams that play in the Southern Premier. Carlisle, come on down. Be our affiliates. We've announced this partnership with Carlisle immediately. That is a new affiliate to add to the affiliate scrapbook, a League One team to send some players to. I've got some players I want to send there already. Straight away, Callum Platt. Is Callum Platt going to get regular minutes for them? I guess that's the scary thing, isn't it, when you send players on loan, especially goalkeepers. You just don't know how much football they're going to play. I mean, right now, Ellis Craven is their first choice goalkeeper. 28 years old. Is Callum better? Is Callum... But no, okay. We won't send Callum to them. I've got players like Jaeger here, who was out on loan in the Championship for the year just gone and wasn't good enough. I have to assume he is just going to turn down a move, isn't he, to Carlisle. You know what, when it comes to moving some of these reserve players and hoping I can get them spots at our various affiliates, I feel like this is the kind of thing where I could do it all manually and show you the umming and ahhing about how I select 12 players to go out on loan and hope those ones then sign for them. We'll just cover this when I actually decide the players and they leave. William Espinoza, you'll love Carlisle, mate. Yeah, William Espinoza, by the way, still at the club. End of season striker. I hope they play him as a striker too. Here's the thing. I'm picking out players like Gilliland to send on loan to Horsham. Probably just going to turn them down anyway. If you were getting all excited for the last minute about the fact we had some transfer offers, they're all for Shen Fusai. This guy, not a bad player. Probably never going to play for our first team. But yeah, teams in League One want him. I'll give him to one of them. Also, if you've noticed different work permit kind of notifications coming in and I've not been talking about them, it's just different staff members renewing their contracts. I wish it was more exciting. I'll be honest, didn't think this guy was actually going to go on loan to Carlisle. Selemanaj, you know, the Macedonian amateur. Yeah, he's going back to League One to relive his glory years. Actually, I say that, we signed him when we were in the Championship. Why did I sign this guy whilst we were in the Championship? That was stupid, wasn't it? Also, no offers for Bilardo. No one wants to buy Bilardo, which is bloody annoying. Apparently, the most teams are wanting to pay is £6 million, which... I mean, I want to be on the, like, oh, that's a really good amount. No, not really. Apparently, he's valued at 30, and I've not even set that. Okay, a few teams like Everton have been making bids for Endor. Lots of them are very conditional based. Of course, Wolves have already offered us £10 million up front. Unless someone comes in with a similar bid, it's probably just going to be a Wolverhampton Wanderers transfer kind of deal. Elsewhere, another transfer kind of deal. Kamara heading to Brighton. I feel like this guy needs regular minutes somewhere. Last year we loaned him to Syria. He actually played a decent amount of minutes for Bologna, hoping that Brighton's a place where he can really get some minutes under his belt and, as a bit of a star man, just kick on and develop. I'm being asked to follow up in my interest in Cock. Not interested anymore in Cock, thank you. Okay, I'm being asked about Haddad again and I really don't know what to do. I feel like I probably should sign him, shouldn't I? He's definitely an improvement on what we've got. Star rating wise as well, 19 clean sheets last year for Club Bruges. I know you shouldn't really look at the stats, especially for leagues that are inactive in your save game, because the stats are kind of just somewhat generated randomly. That has convinced me. £35 million. I'm hitting accept. I thought I was going to leave it as a cliffhanger at the end of the video. No, I'm signing him here. Apparently he could be a leading Premier League player. I'm going to trust that it was a good decision. Speaking of good decisions, you know, Ashley Phillips' new centre-back, out for 3 to 4 weeks. Yay! I feel like we're too far in the future. Erling Haaland's got a testimonial for Man City, a Man City team who have just announced their new manager, Zinedine Zidane. I don't like it. We've gone too far forward. I've just realised it. The Haddad signing is a record transfer. I mean, what I will say is his value is now 80 to 87 million, so he must be good. No offers for Bilardo, though. I just want Bilardo to piss off. You know what would be a really good crowning moment to end today's episode? If Gonzalo Rodriguez confirms he wants to sign for us. I don't even want to wait for the work permit. I just want him to confirm he wants to join us, just like William Espinoza confirms he's going to join Carlisle. I mean, I want Carlisle to get promoted. This is now the Carlisle project. It's like a subplot of this save game. I have already sent them Selemanaj, of course, a new centre-back, and on top of that, Deal Washbourne as well has gone to them. There were some other players I tried to send to Carlisle. They didn't want to go. Don't want to name names. Looking at you, Klaus Jaeger. Looking at you. Today is one of those transfer specials where I feel like we've talked a lot and we've done quite a lot, but then I actually look at the transfer screen and Haddad is the only man we've officially signed. Of course, there were a couple of transfers we already had lined up, such as Ashley Phillips, but we won't count that one for the sake of the transfer special. And to be honest, when you look at the transfers out, there's lots of transfer stuff going on. It's just lots of admin bits. In terms of transfers in, Gonzalo Rodriguez, still waiting for him to say something. And also Thomas is going to be joining us. just as long as he gets a work permit. We'll find out on that tomorrow. And by tomorrow, I mean in-game tomorrow. Because tomorrow for you guys is Saturday. No episode till Monday. I'm going to leave you keen for more. Manchester City make bid for Rojas. You weren't meant to do this. They've offered £60 million. His preferred destination would be Man City. The potential value is £80 million. His potential transfer value, guide price, up to 98. I am rejecting this. Piss off Zinedine Zidane. And here we have another transfer to add to the collection. Thomas, officially joining us, £4.2 million, one for the future. I really like the look of this centre mid, though. Rojas wants a new contract. You know what, Rojas? I'll actually just give you the new deal. The new deal, though, has to kick in at the end of the season, just so I can make it as long as possible. He wants a minimum release clause to clubs in the Champions League of 93 million. I'm going to remove this. What I will say is, I respect the fact that Rojas here, he's decided to sit down at the table. You know, he could have thrown his toys out the pram and cried. Instead, we're going to sit him down, agree to this deal that will kick in next summer and last 5 years. Essentially locks him down for the next 6 seasons. £70,000. It feels like a lot, kind of compared to other players in our squad. I've got to make it 75, aren't I? It feels like a lot compared to other players in our squad. It will look like an absolute bargain deal in a few years' time. I absolutely adore the fact that rather than try and force a move to Man City, he wants to stay here, though, and sign a new deal. He must have a decent loyalty attribute. But yeah, Roger Rojas, he might become my favourite player of the save game if he keeps like this. This is the act of a club legend. I'm still very anxious about Rodriguez here. Rodriguez looks great. I'm just scared that AC Milan are going to make an offer. £13 million for this guy? I need him. Oh my word. The football manager gods have heard me. I needed him. I'm going to get him, hopefully. We've got 4 days to wait for that. Work permit. I mean, it's going to be granted, right? I feel like we're beyond the days where work permits just aren't given to our players like we were suffering in League 2 and League 1. Also, remember Carlos? He wanted £140,000 to join us, didn't he? He's joined Real Madrid on £82,000. Dickhead. Right, you know what? With Gonzalo Rodriguez joining us and also Haddad in the van, I feel like we've got 2 players there who are definitely going to strengthen the first team and young players who I think can still grow with the squad. If that final transfer goes through, by the way, we still are going to have £15 million to spend, potentially. What I would say is, first team is looking a little on the larger side. I feel like we need to do a bit more wheeling and dealing. So far we've done wheeling. I need to do some dealing in terms of selling first team players. To be fair, if Indor leaves for £10 million, that'll be some good dealing. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. We will be back on Monday for the summer transfer window to resume. I'm going to make more sales. I'm going to make more signings. That is a guarantee. European football awaits us. We need to be prepared. I'll see you guys then. I'm out.